Okay, so for this lesson, we're going to expand a little more on the possibilities for if statements, but not just for if statements, for any conditional statement. Anytime we need to check if something is true and to do something else. And that is what if statements are about, but it's also what other control flow aspects of programming will do. And then we'll learn about those later on, other methods. So I'm going to go and create a new file. Do Control N, select language, Python. And we're just going to explore a lot of different conditionals and ways we can check for things. So I'll make a variable. I'll just say it's called A. And I'll set that with a single equal sign equal to true. I'll create one called B. I'll set that equal to false. Okay, so we have these two variables, A and B. A is true, B is false. And they could be anything really, depending on context. And I'm going to say if A is true, I'm going to print out true. And this is our equal sign relational operator. Other ways that we can do comparisons is we can say, hey, if A and B are both true, then do something. And to do that, we'll say if A equals true, and we use a new keyword, and we'll say if B equals true. And we'll print out true. Go ahead and run this code. Oh, gotta save it first. So we'll say conditionals. That's the name for this exercise. So I'll clear this out real quick. Now I'll run it. Python conditionals. I forgot to, oh, no, I didn't forget anything. So nothing happened here. The reason why nothing happened is because we're checking if A is true and if B is true, but B is false. So we need to change this to true for it to work. Run it again. It says true. So this and keyword is checking the left side, and if the left side is true, and if the right side of it is true, then it makes the whole thing true. If I change one of these to false, if I change B to be false over here, I run that, nothing happens because it said, hey, my right side was false, it wasn't true, so can't do anything for you here, it's going to be false. So that does not print this, and it just skips beyond this and ends the code because there's nothing else in our code after that. So that's and. There's another one called or. I'll change this from and to or. And or says, hey, if my left side or if my right side is true, if any of them are true, I'm going to say true. And so notice that B is false, A is true. We run this, it says true, even though we're checking for it to be true on both sides. And you could chain these together. You could say, and here, I'll go ahead and put these in parentheses, and they'll say or A is equal to true. So these parentheses are saying, hey, run this and then after that, look at the outside the parentheses on this or. So this is going to execute first. It's going to check to see if A is true and if B is true. B is false. So and says, hey, my right side over here is false. So I'm going to say this is false. And so this whole thing in parentheses here becomes false. And now it goes to the next layer up. It says, look at my or now. My or says, if either my left or right side is true, I'm going to say the whole thing is true. So we know this whole thing here is false on the left-hand side of or, but over here, A is equal to true. So or says, hey, my right side says true, even though my left side says false. So I say the whole thing is true because I'm okay with one side being false or not. And so this should print out true if we run it. We'll go ahead and jump back to the command prompt. We'll run it, and it says true. Because the whole left side of the or was false, because the and said false. But over here on the right-hand side of or, it said true. So it said the whole thing is true. Now I print true. Now let's switch these. Let's say or inside, and let's say and inside. Let's just run this and see what happens. It says true again. Reason is because we look inside the parentheses first. Or says one of my sides have to be true, then I say the whole thing's true. And so A equaling true is true. So or says, hey, I found a true. And I don't really have to check the other side because I got one of them. And we know that B is false, which is false, but that doesn't matter because or found a true on the left-hand side. So this whole thing here is true. And then the and says, okay, check my left, check my right. If they're both true, it's true. It checks left, it sees true. Checks right, A equaling true is true. So it says, hey, the whole thing is true. And it prints out true. And you can make even more complicated chains of these if you need to, depending on what your code requires. There's one more keyword to learn here, which is not. And not just negates or it flips a true to a false or a false to a true. So let's look at A. A equaling true is true. But if I come over here and I say not, like that, then it's going to say whatever comes after not, make that thing the opposite of what it actually is. It's opposite day. So A equals true is true, and then it sees not is not flips it to false. So I'll save this. I'll jump over here. I'll run this, and we shouldn't get anything. Nothing happens. And so that's what not does. These are the three keywords we know for conditionals. And I'm going to go and stop our conditional lecture here. There's a second part to this. We have some more to cover. But that'll be it for right now. And I'll see you in the next one.